I'm eating my husband.
Hey guys, welcome back to Film Truth. Today we'll present to you My Strange Addiction Top 6. Let's head into it. Number 6, addiction to taxidermy. This woman seems to have a scientist's mind. She likes to look at the animal's body parts, take them apart, and put them back together again. I'm getting this. Some people just fascinate themselves with this kind of stuff. It teaches you a lot about life and animals. But it's disturbing since she gets these animals randomly in the woods, dissects them in her home instead of a laboratory, exposes herself and others to diseases. I remember taking a class in biology and not being able to dissect a pig. The teacher did it for us, and watching him was interesting, but at the same time, when he scrambled the pig's brains with his scalpel, I didn't know what the purpose was, and he was telling us how you can kill rats humanely by hitting them so hard that you quickly crush their skulls and destroy their brains. My stomach turned around. I don't think I can deal with stepping into the house of this woman or even shaking her hand. Number 5, sniffing creepy doll head.
My name is Lacey. I'm 24. And I'm addicted to carrying my doll head.
There are a lot of people terrified of dolls. I admit that I am too. There are instances where it's just too much, even though I can look at most dolls and be fine. For example, I would never want to stay in a room full of porcelain dolls staring at the bed. That's too creepy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a couple of collectibles on the shelf, but I don't feel like their eyes are watching me while I'm trying to sleep. There's an island full of decaying dolls hanging from trees in Mexico, which is considered to be one of the most creepy places on earth. And I've got to say, if I was ever to visit, I would probably be very freaked out. Those fears I know are irrational, but I still have them. I know it doesn't hurt anyone what this woman is doing, but it's still creepy. If the doll was not just a decapitated head and she still had the whole thing, it would be way less creepy. It'd be less creepy too if it were not so obviously old and decaying. But if this woman, no normal doll head is gonna do it. The one that smells like marshmallows. She needs it. Number 4, completely identical twins. I get how these twins can be seen by some individuals as cute, and they are. It must be nice to have someone who shares with you every bit of your life, someone to whom you really are that close, even though it prevents them from connecting and forming some real relationships with other people. But their habit of finishing each other's sentences and speaking at the exact same time in the same monotone way is straight out of a horror movie. Number 3, addicted to digging in ear. I've seen people on My Strange Addiction eat and do really weird stuff a lot of the time. Based on their habits, I can't believe some of them are still alive in some instances. When I watched this show a number of times, my partner walked out of the room, shaking their head and disturbed by what was happening. Usually, I laugh at them for not being able to watch a show I'm intrigued by. One of the exceptions was this. For this episode of My Strange Addiction, I had to turn away. The stuff she uses to dig through her ears like scissors is disgusting. She pushed them so deeply that they seem to touch her brain or something. The scissors are sharp, and I still have a picture of her cutting herself. Her addiction is so bad that her hearing is lost. Without wincing or turning away, I can't ever look at her doing any of these things without wincing or turning away. Not to mention, I'm horrified by her tale of getting something trapped in her ear. I've heard stories of people getting all sorts of things stuck in there like spiders and bugs. Every time I hear it, it freaks me out to the point where I can't really blame her for being obsessed with digging through her ears just to make sure there's nothing trapped inside. Number 2, addicted to eating dead husband. This was the most disturbing thing I've seen on this TV show, hands down. It's illegal, as there are laws protecting what people are allowed to do with the dead. You feel really sorry for this woman at first. Loss and grief are so dreadful. It's understandable that she would carry the ashes of her dead husband around and pretend that he was still alive. It's not super healthy, but grieving's difficult and it makes people act irrationally sometimes. So I watched this episode at first and got angry. TLC picked this poor woman who obviously was just mourning her husband's loss and she didn't deserve it. That was until she got into the story of what was actually her addiction. She licked a little bit of her husband off her hand in an accident one day, and since then, she's not been able to stop consuming him every once in a while. I have to say that this confession shocked and disturbed me. Because, I get it to carry someone's ashes around, but you don't eat them. As the episode progresses, the show gets more and more disturbing. At least most people try to consider the chance of getting rid of their addiction. Some people are successful, others maybe not so much. This woman seems to become more obsessed by the day. The show reveals that if consumed, the chemicals used in a cremation can cause mental illness. And the way the woman fights with her mother, you can tell that she's lost it, way past the point of any other person who's genuinely grieving in a normal way. In order to take the ashes away from her daughter, the mother must take legal action. Even the idea of this makes her hysterical. They say by the end of the episode that the ashes were taken away and that she was sent away to a mental institution. I don't judge the people on this show most of the time. They all seem to have things they struggle with, and they're helped by these addictions. They're strange, but I think that's what we find so interesting. For me, this woman is an exception. I just can't imagine how horrified the family of her husband was to find out that the remains of their son, brother, cousin, nephew were being eaten by his late wife. It's totally disrespectful to the dead and honestly sounds like something only a serial killer would do. Number 1, rubber mask addiction. I get where this addiction comes from. Our society worships adolescence. This guy sometimes wants to experience life as a beautiful young woman and all the benefits that come with being that individual. He's older, so it's not enough for him to simply cross-dress. He wants more of an escape than that. By putting on a dress, some makeup, and padding, he doesn't just want to enhance his own body, he wants to become a new person entirely. He wants a complete escape from his life through fantasy. But it doesn't stop being terrifying just because I understand where this addiction might have come from. My brother and I were children in the 90s. We grew up watching Nickelodeon, including shows like Salute Your Shorts. The episode about Zeke the plumber is remembered by everyone who watched that show. As kids, we were all terrified of him. It was a ghost story about someone who died in the camps around the camp. A guy wearing a rubber mask was playing with them. Something just seems so fake about a rubber mask that it makes it seem that the individual is no longer human. There's a reason why people use rubber masks to display vintage photos of old Halloween costumes to scare people. They're creepy, and they look like dead people, more decaying people than a living person. It doesn't help either that you can just rip them off someone's face, which looks like peeling off someone's skin a little bit too much for my liking. What do you think about this
list about my strange addiction? Do you agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments section. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.